going to stop the pain, so we'll go on.
Perfect.
Yeah. At the end. It's always at the end. It's not during the end. At the end, we'll finish us. Yes, we do that. But for the beginning, it's just a hit. Ha ha! Ha ha ha! That wasn't painful at all. No, my knee is all fucked up. Because somebody thought it'd be fun to tackle hug. Guys, go to First Burkon. Rule 1, don't tackle hug.
Don't do that.
Apple juice. Apple juice that's been sitting out all night?
And nothing else.
You. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Convention War Story. Everyone, let's start it off the way that traditional con chairman and employees should. We are here to tell you about some of the things that happen behind the scene. We do have one rule for this panel. We will not tell you any stories that have happened in the last 2 years, so don't ask. Unless it's really funny. Yeah, or you already told its ass. Guys, let's introduce some of the panel. Over here from Anthrocon, he runs a car. They gave him a car that goes inside the building, and he carted my fat ass everywhere when somebody else tackle hugged me. He stopped doing that.
I see a pattern. Well, then you don't get to ride in the car.
I want the car! No, just talk.
Yeah, Anthrocon Director of Logistics.
Yeah. You poor motherfucker.
10 years next year.
Wow.
And you've been doing it for a decade?
Next year will be.
Lord, come. We're going to go over to the other side of the table, ladies and gentlemen. Until recently, this gentleman was the director of the convention, because I actually forgot how to say con-chair for a second there. Excuse me.
What?
I forgot what the title of con-chair was, okay? Con-chair of Indy FurCon, ladies and gentlemen, Lord Pandam! I'm such an ass. Guys, this is Kyle, whose name I didn't say because...
Or cry.
Over here, we have somebody who, running conventions, this is a little different. She is the director of talent, we're going to put it at. We get to yell at her, and she yells back at us. Ladies and gentlemen, the producer of such things as Fox and Pepper. One time she saw me naked, so that's weird. Ladies and gentlemen, Dixie!
I also am on the board of directors at Econ, too.
Yeah, well, we don't talk about that because you're finance, and we don't count as finance.
Really?
Finance, they don't listen to us, we don't count!
Mine listen to me. I don't know what you're doing wrong.
Drink. And guys, literally too many positions to list. He is in charge of con. We're just going to say, he's in charge of con. Who's stupid? That's him. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheena the Stupid. Sheena the Stupid. I'm so tired.
This is convention number 82 for me. I got a problem.
Yeah, you're totally.
Oh no, I can stop anytime I want.
You're number 100!
No! Guys, I'm the con chairman of First Squared. I run finance and random departments of a few other guys. My name is Alkali, and we are here to tell you stories. Woo! Now, Lisa, shit happens.
Does it ever?
Would you like to tell the story? Let's just start it off as shit happens.
We lost our hotel once.
Oh, yeah.
We found out from the evening news.
Wait, was it kidnapped?
Hotel then.
Was there a beige alert for missing hotel?
Well, it eventually did go missing when it got demolished. That was 6 months later. We found out from the evening news at 11 o'clock at night, and we got phone calls at 11 o'clock at night. And then our event director of the hotel called us up at 8 a.m. the next morning and said, yep, it's true, we're shutting down in 60 days. And we said, we have a contract. And we called up corporate and said, we have a contract. And they said, we have this facility in Dallas, you can move your con there.
From where?
Philadelphia.
How did that go?
It didn't. We moved very quickly. That was the year we were in Center City, Philadelphia, and we haven't been back there.
It's actually a weird thing. That's one of the views. There's a group called the FCLR. It's Furry Connection Roundtable, Furry Leadership Roundtable, and we all get together and we talk mostly about you because you're interesting. Like the guy in front. Oh, I'm interesting. You haven't gone to jail yet, so we still like you. But one of the things that we do talk about there is contracts, things you haven't come up with, and because of the FCLR, if you ever look at a furry contract, I'd say 90% of them now have a clause. Like, there's normal things in a hotel contract, like, we have this weekend. You will give us your space this weekend. The lights will work this weekend. There is now a clause, the hotel will still exist this weekend. That is a real clause in most furry contracts because of this. And the worst part is, when negotiating it, this is usually the response. Why would you need this clause? Check.
Can I just say, before we continue, there is room at the sides up here at the front if people want to come up to the front. There's no chairs, but we are literally standing room in the back. So
Wow, thank you very
if
much.
people are okay standing on against the wall or sitting over here on this side or over by there, but watch your head if you're sitting over there, because there's a big ledge there.
Thank you guys so much for being here.
Real question: what do we win if we get a fire code violation for this panel?
A bigger room next year.
Wait a minute, hold on. We are directors at conventions. You know what we win? We no longer have to be directors at conventions. There is a gentleman, we're not going to tell you who he is. We're going to say he is on the board of directors at this convention. He had an incident at a different FurCon. And do you guys know those little stickers next to the sprinklers in your room that say don't hang anything? I'm not saying they are there because of him. I am saying that they weren't there before he did it. One of your board of directors, unbeknownst to what he was doing, hung his fursuit from the sprinkler. Now, I want to explain something to you guys if you have never seen a true sprinkler in operation. One, the water pipes for those sprinklers, they don't recharge those at all. That is stagnant water. If there has not been a fire recently, it is brown stagnant water. And here's a little thing that people don't know. What are those called? Sprinklers, right? No! They are a torrent unto Zeus himself, and I would have used the water god's name, but I cannot think of it. Poseidon himself, which is what I said in the first place. Shut up. They do not sprinkle. They do not douse. They blow out windows! There is a YouTube video, you can find it, of a sprinkler going off in a smaller room. The pressurization is controlled. This is not something they get to choose. There is a specific PSI that needs to happen inside of those tubes. And the room that this happened in was so small, it broke glass. Now I want you to imagine what happened when this gentleman hung his fursuit from this thing. He done did screw up. So yeah, we make mistakes too. And it still doesn't help us getting off the board of directors. Dixie?
My chairman's second, do I have to be good now?
Yes.
No?
No, but you don't have to do anything. In fact, why don't you tell a story about stuff that happened at your con that'll make your chairman blush? Oh, it's not in the 2 years? What did you do?
I didn't do anything, but it's not in the 2 years, and it's one of those stories you can't
Oh,
talk about.
that is the shame about this panel. I can think of 3 stories I really want to tell you guys, but as Boozy would tell you, our lawyer advised against it.
Actually, though, I do have a story I can tell that involves him and him
Sure.
and me at, what, 4 in the morning
This
at a
is
con?
sexy.
No. We had a couple radio station people try to get passes, and they even tried to like sneak through the reg system. So we had it set up that we caught them, and I was going to escort them around and only introduce them to people I wanted them to be introduced to. And it turns out that they snuck in while I was busy, and they were wearing some Walmart fursuit style stuff, you know, like I think one was a squirrel, the other one was a bunny, and they were going around and taking videos of people, putting it on Snapchat. So there we were, like 4 in the morning dealing with this, and I think me and Ed and Pendez were the only sober people around.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you were there, right here.
I was very much there. Not sober.
And so, we're trying to see what we could do, if there's any like legal actions we could take, because they did have like a video of one of our attendees saying some not very nice things about her. She's transgender. So she was notified about it, and before we could even do anything, she like took it in her own hands and like everything disappeared. So she just politely tweeted to them that she saw their videos, that they had really nice conversations, and she was very sorry she confused their texts. And situation handled. They dropped everything from the internet. They never aired a story.
Normally, we don't like when you guys take things into your own hands because that's when it ends up on the news. But that's good.
Speaking of taking things into their own hands,
PG-13.
I can't tell that story then.
Oh, that story. All right, here, we'll go with the highest level PG-13 story that I can think of off the top of my head. Sometimes you guys are fucking stupid. I get one. Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear on this one. I was director of finance at a convention, and I had to use the restroom. So I went into the con floor restroom. A kid. Now I call him a kid because he was a child. He was definitely not 18. Came up and tapped me on the bed. Hey, you know where I can buy any weed? And I slowly turned around to see this youth. His friend, semi-white, said, dude, that's the director of finance. And this kid, who earned a lot of respect that day, he said to me, that means he knows where to get it cheap. We hate you. I sold him all the weed I had. I stole from the guy in the choker. Dad! Yay! Yes, we do. We were waiting for you. Ladies and gentlemen, the con chairman is, what's the name of it now so I don't say the other one?
Anthro-Ohio.
Anthro-Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, the con chairman of Anthro-Ohio,
If you forget the name
I
again,
can tell a
it's on
story.
his shirt.
Say again?
If you forget the name again, it's on his shirt.
Oh, that would have made it very easy. I'm unobservant. Con shirts are a thing. Con shirts are a wonderful thing, right, my friend? Like when they don't show up because they're sitting on a runway in Japan.
Actually, it was China.
I apologize. Tried to give them the short version.
They were delayed in customs, and then when they did come in, the sizing was off because apparently extra large in China is different from extra large in the US. So that was a lot of refunds we had to give out that year.
I know that fact very well from shirts I've ordered online. 5X in the States is not a 5X in China.
Oh my God.
5X in China is a medium.
All right. Yeah, we'll go to that one since we're already on dirty stories.
So, con shirts are a thing. Con badges are also a thing. When you're designing a con badge, it's important to run it through by a few people because they may notice something you've missed. We had a Furries of Tomorrow theme this year, and I worked with the same people who made our nice badges, the staff badges here. And he was thinking, like, I do like a rocket theme. And it's like, yeah, space, it's very like 60s sci-fi, it works really well. And I thought it looked beautiful. And then 5 minutes after I get it and start walking around the con, it's like, why are you wearing a red rocket? Because it's a...
I thought you guys were geniuses. I loved it.
The worst part is he was actually that naive. He was like, it's a spaceship. Instead of rocket. It was a very innocent purchase that went really bad.
You totally should have just had a recording from the Lego movie. Spaceship!
After the con, I approached the person who made the badges, and it's like, did you think anything of the red rocket before you printed them? And he's just like, why?
We're going to go to a quick fire one, since we're talking about badges. Not all of us have worked for registration, but the stories have come to us. What were those names that didn't make it onto the badge, or did make it onto the badge? Yep. All right, go ahead. Guys, if you have one, lean in and say, go ahead. That's
Incognito.
That is one of my all-time favorites.
The one that did make it onto the badge, I think this is PG-13, was Fist My Shane Canyon.
Yeah. Oh my God. It made it through.
Sing the microphone.
Go ahead.
There was one last year and it made it through and I actually saw it and it was Chlorine Me Daddy.
I don't know how that happened. My director of Artemis, he blackmailed me. I needed a director of Artemis. It is a very large part of my convention. And a week beforehand, he said, I don't have to show up if you don't give me my badge. So, Dino Fuckosaurus was at First Square year one. So I was blackmailed. There have been some great badges out there. Also, all of you who put Alkali is my daddy on your badge. No, Alkali is my daddy was apparently rejected only because somebody already had it.
Is it yours?
Dadception.
Boozy, I need your help. I need a paternity test and a check. Oh my God. Des, you've been doing this for quite a while.
A little bit.
Didn't we have a wonderful director of hotel, basically the hotel liaison from the hotel at Indy FurCon one year? She was amazing.
Tanya.
And she took care of a situation.
Tanya took care of a wonderful situation. You see, you have conventions like this where we literally sell out not only this hotel, but all the surrounding hotels. But if you work for a smaller convention, you might share the hotel with other groups. And sometimes they don't quite get along as well as you would like. So this year, not this year, but like the year in question, we happened to be sharing the hotel with a group of fraternities that were there together.
Bros.
Oh, the fraternity bros, yeah. Yes, we'll get to that.
That's a difference.
There is a YouTube video. We'll get to that too. They were not getting along as well as we would have liked. We were trying to stay in our convention space and let them have their convention space. We had to share the elevators. That was common for everybody. And there was some nitpicking back and forth between the various groups. But it culminated when a furry is wearing his ears and tails, was trying to get on the elevator, and there were 3 of the fraternity brothers in the elevator. And they were like, "No, you may not get on the elevator." But I just want to go, "Nope, you can't." And as the doors were closing, one of the fraternity brothers leaned in and shouted, "You ain't Rosa Parks, you're not getting on this bus."
Oh no.
So we convened the board and asked for the hotel liaison to swing by. We were telling her about all the various things that happened. She was like, "Oh, I'm very concerned, okay." And Tanya, a black lady in her early 30s, when we got to the Ain't Rosa Parks part,
Stand up and do it.
this
right.
was her reaction. And she our head of finance was like, "No." About 5 minutes later, there were signs up everywhere. "Emergency meeting. All fraternity brothers in your ballroom now." There were no more, I would say there were no more issues, there were no more conflicting issues for the rest of the evening. There were some other issues which
It's
then
later.
developed,
It's later.
which we will talk about later. But having a wonderful hotel liaison can do wonders. We had no more problems with the 2 groups interacting, kind of.
Guys, it is my absolute pleasure to announce a rarity right now. Ladies and gentlemen, your con chairman, Cody! Yeah, I figured. Oh, you did.
I can tell the turkey.
I think this gentleman should. Oh, yes, please.
So I was just saying, so I can't be here for long, but I did want to see what was going on, and apparently so did a bunch of other people. Thank you. Who's been to MFF before this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's lots of weird glass things in certain places in the hotel, on the floors and the ceilings. I mean, glass is generally something relatively fragile, yes? Yeah, so there was a convention, well, fortunately, I mean, we're weird and we're crazy and we're wacky as a convention here, but we're not even remotely the weirdest thing in this hotel. So that's not really a get out of jail for free, but it super sorta is. There's a much larger anime convention that's here that I won't name because we're very good friends with them and they've been very, very kind to us as well. However, partly because they're so large, they're accustomed to seeing just weird things. I mean, you know, that weird statistics thing where it's like 0.5%, but then you grow the quantity, suddenly that 0.5% is actually an okay sized number. Not okay because it's great, but okay because now it's a problem. So there was an incident, I guess, years and years ago, where somebody inevitably decided that the best thing to do was to take a frozen turkey and to launch it off of the inside. And thank you guys, by the way, before I finish this, for not ever doing anything like that. A few years ago, somebody was throwing dollar bills, fake dollar bills off there. Okay, that's not cool, and you know, we talked to the person about that, but we can live with dollar bills if that's the worst. You just don't do that. So somebody thought it'd be really cool to drop a frozen turkey. Not if they're frozen. I mean, I guess they don't even. Yeah, I guess they don't even fly when they're not frozen, do they? But anyway, remember that glass being sort of fragile part of the story. So the turkey decided that the best place was to land on some of the glass. I believe it was over the O'Hare Bar and Grill. So you know where you do your buffet in the morning for breakfast, and it just destroyed it. This was actually during the convention. I don't think anybody was actually hurt seriously, but they did, of course, find the person. It's not that hard in a crowded hotel for somebody to just go, oh, it was that guy. And I don't understand why people do that to begin with. I don't know why you would think that might be a funny thing to do, but I don't know. So
This panel.
yeah, for this panel. So you know, that's sort of the bar. Again, we're not daring anybody to go and make it a whole lot worse here. Unfortunately, everybody's been pretty darn amazing, so keep doing that. But we do get a little bit of flexibility because we're not even remotely the worst thing
Now,
at the hotel.
Go.
I have a question about that.
You
If
know?
you walk over by the bar and you see all the glass panels on the floor,
Yeah.
there's one that's shattered. Is that the one?
Yeah.
No, so actually, no, it's not. So that's the funny thing. No. So those glass panels get broken far more than the hotel will want to admit because we come here. I was here probably 12 times over the course of the year for meetings and whatnot. And throughout the year, you'd see parts of those glass panels cracked or broken. You'd come back and they'd be fixed, and the next time another one would be broken. And it's like that feels like that's an engineering issue, but hey, not my hotel. I understand you guys have smart people solving these problems, but. Yeah, no, it's probably recent and it may be fixed by Sunday. Or maybe they're waiting to see if it gets worse. I don't know.
Now, there's actually
You're not falling anywhere, don't worry, you won't fall through.
there's actually a part of your story that you don't know.
That's possible.
I know somebody who was at the bar when the turkey went down.
So that I did not know.
I love that story. It's one of my favorites.
Interesting.
But the bartender, hands down, is my favorite part of that story. Because according to my friend, who you all know, this was the bartender's reaction. Crash! Bang! Didn't even stop pouring the drink.
Yeah, bartender, you finish it, you just kind of go. Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
he just signed and moved on with his life.
So it's totally self-serving. Seriously, thank you for not doing stuff like that.
Now I have to ask, when they found the guy, he like a supply of frozen turkeys in his room. Was he gonna do this again?
So I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know why you decide. Well, what do you do with a frozen turkey to begin with at a con? Those things. Am I gonna take like a day to thaw or something?
Actually,
Oh,
a
yeah.
great way to thaw a turkey, I heard, is throwing it off a balcony. So thank you.
That's a good thought, actually. He may not have been aiming for glass. He may have thought it would have slid down. You're like, no, it's like 20 pounds. That's not how any of that works. Physics, friends, physics.
He was getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner, that's all.
That's even weirder because I believe ASIN's in May. So,
Thanks for calling the
oh, I
phone.
gave the name of the convention. It wasn't ASIN.
It wasn't.
I can't believe it's not Asen.
Oh boy. So, you know, no, it was them. So, but we love them for it, and it was certainly their team did a great job fixing it and dealing with it. Yeah, thank you for not doing that. Did I say that yet? Thank you for not doing that. Yeah.
He can't say it enough, legitimately.
No, seriously. I can't stay for a whole lot longer because I have other things that I have to,
As a
attend to.
chairman or something.
But thank you guys for everything this year. You guys have been spectacular.
Thank
And-
you.
No. Thank our staff.
It's always very important for us to thank our staff because this con doesn't happen without our staff. Like as a con chairman, I can say I do a little bit of work, but my staff does most of the work. It's very important to know who your staff are, though. And Morphicon a few years ago was kind of having a new security chief every year. And one year, it was, I'm not going to say the name, it's not fair to this person, but it was a new security chief, and he was out on the deck painting boxes for us to secure video game consoles. And I'm just, going about my business, and the con chair comes up to me as director of ops and says, I need you to do something for me. I'm like, okay, I'm here to help, I'll do whatever you want. I need you to go distract the head of security so he doesn't see the undercover cops moving into position. Okay. So I awkwardly shuffle onto the patio and I'm just like, hey, how's the painting going? Like, yeah, it's going pretty good. Look at this, it's nice. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really good. How long do you think it's gonna take? And as I'm doing this, I'm watching like plainclothes, a couple plainclothes milling about inside. I'm like, oh my god. And then they come out, they move as one, like and I bolt back inside. And I did not stick around for that, but I did tell the contrairman, if you ever have me do something like that again, I'm quitting. That is the most awkward possible thing well, it's one of the most awkward possible things I can think of having to do.
I'm a distraction and you're going to jail. Cons are weird places. And it's not just fur cons either. It's not just fur cons. There's other cons like MagFest. There's cons like MagFest.
Who's been to MagFest? One hand.
That's
Oh, 2
shocking
hands.
with how large that is.
So MagFest today is a very respectable convention. It's video games and heavy metal. So there's like bands playing covers for like Mega Man. It's a lot of fun. It wasn't always a respectable convention. The one year I worked, we had, cops with riot shields and shotguns, and that was an improvement. The prior year was cops with sample kits. The year before that, I can best describe it. Imagine Chuck E. Cheese with 14-year-olds, sponsored by Jack Daniels. There was pizza boxes and bottles of Jack lying around. What did we have one year? We had the fight that year where there was banging in a room as I'm walking down a hallway, and then I watched the room empty. This was in the morning. It was a sleeping room, and it's like 10 kids pile out of the room. It's like a clown car. And that was 3 days of that. MagFest got a lot better. I think everyone who went there grew up.
Now it's sponsored by Jack Daniels, but they can drink.
Was that the year that the entry got put in the door sign log?
Yes.
Which
Despite
entry?
the appearance of police in full riot gear, things went slightly better than expected.
Yeah.
That was that year.
The year with the sample kits, things were so bad that when the cops got called, they wouldn't stop at the front desk of the hotel. They would just come straight to the security office and they'd be like, "Hey, it's you guys again, picking up or dropping off?" Usually picking up.
Now let's take a look at the other side of this. So we've been talking about when furry cons go wrong, but there's other types of horror stories. And one of my all-time favorites, it's an MFF classic, is when fur cons go right. Because don't forget, we are furries. And now that means something. People are starting to realize that furry means generosity. Furry means kind-hearted, caring people. But that wasn't always the case. Some of us are old enough to remember CSI, to remember MTV, to remember stupidity on TV. And sometimes you get prejudiced people who also are aware of that, and this is the story of the time that you guys stepped up and did the greatest non-violent protest I will and have ever seen. Because MFF was deciding to leave the hotel that they were in after only 2 years. And somehow that got out, and the hotel was scared because they had been rude to us, and they didn't know what we were going to do. Now we're furries, we weren't going to do anything. But they hired police, not the convention. The hotel got police to be roving the hallways watching the furries. And they were rude. They started taking anyone who had a beverage, taking it from them, smelling it, and giving them back because it was a dry con. That's when you all stepped up. Because I got the greatest radio call from somebody trying so hard not to laugh. You guys might want to come down to the lobby. There might be an incident. It seems that most of our furries have gotten cups with coffee lids so that the cops will smell them and have been peeing in them. And one of you, and I'm not telling this story to discuss into brilliance. One cop got very, very rude. What the fuck? Do you think that this is funny? And the guy goes, no, I think it's a good year. Took a sip and walked. I got to see that, and I have never seen this big, like, I'm in charge, I am a law. Yes. Guys, that is the proper way to do things. Nonviolent protest will always be the proper way, and you guys did it, and I'm so fucking proud. Now back to when we screw up. Hey, logistics! So, tell us about that time you lost a truck.
It's still in the river. Well, then it's not lost, is it? Technically, well, no, actually, it's no longer in the river. The wonderful people of Pittsburgh did dredge the river a couple of weeks ago, and they found it. All of our stuff wasn't in there.
Oh.
They found other things, like where we put the people that displease us.
It's an old tradition of,
We have all that water. We gotta use for something.
the wonderful moment was getting a call from my friend who said, my logistics truck is in a ditch! And I looked at my phone and I was just like, you know what, you'll appreciate this. Not my God, not my problem.
But to go along with the thing of your friend, okay? He is a chemist by
Yes,
trade.
he is.
Okay, a very respectable chemist, graduated from Dartmouth and everything. He is not a physicist.
Oh God, that's a good story.
So he thought that it would be a wonderful idea to get those what are they called? Stopping airplanes from moving. Blocks, yeah. Well, the heavy-duty rubberized, blocks that will literally keep an aircraft from moving horizontally, usually. So he says it would be a great idea if we were to get like 12 or 15 of these things so that we can put them in the truck so that they can stop the things from moving. And I'm going, no, this is bad. Do not do this. No, this is a great idea. I'm going to do this. You got them, and I'm going, this is not good. But okay. So we're traveling along, and the Pennsylvania Turnpike came across the Pennsylvania Turnpike as we normally did at those times. We don't have to worry about that this time. And he's driving, and I'm in the passenger seat, and all of a sudden we hear a magnified by about 50 times. I'm going, oh no, this is all you. I warned you. You didn't listen.
So what happened when you opened the truck
We
door?
opened the truck, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I said, and this is why you listen to us. You are not the Pennsylvania Turnpike, if any of you know, does a lot of, and they will never fix it. We opened up the truck, and literally everything was in shambles, tipped over and everything, because
Just remember, this isn't, don't think that like they have boxes or bins back there. This was art show. This is the pipe and drape and metal. So you have to understand, the picture that he sent me, I wasn't looking at the shambles of equipment. I was looking at the fact that a truck should be square, and it was it looked like it had herpes.
So we opened it up. Things don't fall out miraculously.
Yeah, that's shocking.
And they stop it from going on the horizontal plane, not the vertical plane. So, but to be fair, the box of light bulbs. Right? Yeah, the large box of these huge light bulbs that are fragile to no end, all right? The box was completely destroyed.
So we can tell these stories because we make cons happen. Every story you've heard here, it happens, we react, we try not to let it happen again, and the con goes on. But sometimes there's no con. Or sometimes that con becomes not con. Dixie, would you like to regale us with not con?
Oh yeah, that was a really good idea, that name. So as Alkali stated, I do Fox and Peppers management, so I book them at shows, and I booked them. It wasn't a furry con. It was kind of an anime con, just more like a media con. And I get a call 3 days before the event that their hotel pulled out of their contract, and they have no venue, and they're still trying to work something out. And I mean, a lot of furry come to this con too, so it's not just, you know, anime. And they were like, well, we got it. We got a new place, and we put this together, and they decided to name it Not Con Last Minute Magic. With a lot of people from the furry fandom coming to it. Oh, that's awful. So then the boys still had their show, and we are getting this hashtag on Twitter that says, I'm at the FAP show at NotCon. But I mean, honestly, I do have a lot of respect to them that they were able to just pull off like a miracle event in 3 days, and it was a lot of fun. And they have a lot of respect for the furry fandom for showing all their support. They just really should have picked a different name.
I think it's appropriate. All right, let's go to one of my favorite parts of this. Ready? Out of context radio calls. This is quick fire. Out of context radio calls. Shall we start with an old con that we all know and love?
No.
What's up?
Yes.
No. This is... Yeah. This is security to hotel. Has the fire been put out? Dead silence on the radio. This is con chairman security. Do you mean the barbecue? Yes. Please refer to it as a barbecue. 5 minutes later. This is con store to operations. Do you guys have any more poppers for us to sell? This is con chair to whoever that was. Do you mean the plastic novelty popping discs that we are selling at Con Store? Yes, we do. Please call them novelty popping discs. Con chairman is off-site for an hour.
Operations to Conchair, I need you to come to the side of the road. Why? Cannot explain. Please come to the side of the road.
Yeah, that needs context.
No.
Please.
We'll see at the end if you pay for it. Yes?
But I want to say this, but there's context to it.
Gonna give a little.
A little, okay. Me, Ed, our lawyer, sitting around late at night. Everything's quiet. Should we do anything about the people juggling fire on the back patio? Immediate follow-up. This is Bismarck, con attorney, going off radio, and walks out.
I got a phone story.
Go for it.
When Hurricane Katrina was doing its thing, there was a relayed phone call that someone was taking at Anthrocon, and he had some admirals from the U.S. Navy on the other line. And at one point he says, I'm sorry, I just saw a giant mouse chasing a giant cat with an axe. The admiral on the other end says, son, you go to much cooler parties than we do.
lot of calls from security. Just kind of, sure, go ahead. The wedding has converged with the dance. Please advise. This is Con Chair to AV. AV, go ahead. Play the chicken dance.
Operations, there's some people upstairs that are half naked. It's okay they're wearing pants, but they're throwing pies at each other.
Oh my God. This is security to Alkali. This Alkali, go ahead. Alkali, we found somebody who has more booze than you. Please advise. This is Alkali. Room number, please. Room number blank. That's my room too.
DuckTales. Woo!
That's a charity story.
A single line I overheard between the AV crew one year. I don't even know what led up to it. It was just someone asking over radio, "How big is it and where do you want it?" I tuned out at that point.
And I tuned in.
An old favorite. This is security to anyone who has a really long stick. That sounds over the radio. This is security. That last message was not a joke. There is a mad dragon stuck to the top of a 20-foot ceiling.
That is the worst idea for a piñata ever.
Or an old, not a radio call, an old favorite. Anthrocon. Now think of main events at Anthrocon. That ceiling is, any idea?
About 30 or 40 feet.
Sure, 30 or 40 feet. The moon. There is an HVAC system. There's a system circulating air, and somebody had released balloons. And up there against the ceiling is this balloon, and the entire time, it's loud. Because the air is just circulating at the ceiling. And Kage mentioned it during one of his shows, to which I can only describe him as the most Aussie of Aussie furs. Walked over, pulled out a Bowie knife, went, and it got stuck in the ceiling. And he looked over at Kage and just walked out of the room. And Kage was like, I'm going to keep the show going because leaving is now a security risk. No! So we have to keep going and go, boom, 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 murder, boom, boom, murder.
I got one more radio call. I was at a party many MFFs ago, and Duncan the Husky shushes the whole room. He's like, guys, I'm hearing something over the radio. And he listens, and he stops, and we're like, what was it? And he goes, fursuit puke dispenser in the lobby.
Anyone in this room? The fire alarm is going off. I need you to go. No answer. Next door. Anyone in this room? Fire alarm is going off. I need you to go. No answer. Third door. Anyone in this room? Fire alarm is going off. We need you to go. This sex is worth it! Remembering your room number. Call me. Guys, if the fire alarm goes off, no matter how good of a time you're having, put on pants and deodorant and go outside. Please put on deodorant.
Please put on pants, yes.
The amount of times I have had to tell somebody this is not the appropriate area for no pants, and they argue with me and win. Said,
You need a lawyer.
Boozy, when is the appropriate time for no pants? Damn it! Objection! Damn it! Where's your hammer?
You walked right into the...
Ban me, Boozy, ban me!
If you have a question, I'll take it. If you have a story, we have to keep going on. Sorry, okay. All right, what time is it? All right, 10 minutes left. left. All right, guys, we got 10 minutes left of this panel, so here's what we're going to do. We all know what we're here for. We are here to help animals. That is why most of us have started working at these conventions. Most, what, no, okay, some of us came from the free movies. Guys, we do this to help out the charity. We do this to help out the animals. So here's what I'm going to do to you. There are a bunch of people were asking for context. Your road radio call, is that the one I'm thinking of?
Oh God.
It's not funny, so I'm going to actually say no. It's funny like the way it happened, but no. You don't want to hear the context on that. But what we will do, it's a classic story. If we get some donations to the charity, how many people have never been to this panel before? Okay, we're going to tell this story for one reason. Apparently, there is an addendum to it that I did not know about after all these years.
Not really. It's something that happened this week.
Oh, okay, all right. So it has a continuation. Guys, if we can get some money in the hat, we're going to tell the oatmeal story.
While you collect that, I will provide a tiny bit of context and say, if you are crossing streets in the city, please use the crosswalks. Please stay in well-lit areas.
What did you want to announce? Before we keep going on, Dixie has a quick announcement, once again relating to charity.
What I have right here is Fox & More's last ever Come Find Me vinyl. We're not reprinting any more of them. It's the very last one we have. So we will be auctioning it off tonight at our After Dark show at 10, and all proceeds go to charity.
And I think I'll be emceeing.
Yes, Alkaline. So as we'll be auctioning it off, I mean Alkaline will be auctioning it off.
I'll be yelling at you again. All right. Water. Your con is weird. I loved it. Your con is weird. All right. I have told this story many times before for those of you who have heard it and are sticking around. I don't know why. That is more than enough. Holy crap. I am going to try to tell this story. Oh boy, this one got difficult. All right. I've been working for MFF for quite some time, and one year a very good friend of mine asked me if I would help Consuite. Now, what I didn't know what he meant was that I had to handle Satan, which is known as the soda machine in Consuite. Let me put that in context for you. You see, there's a soda machine in Consuite. Who's used that soda machine this weekend? You're part of the problem!
Thank you.
They were supposed to purchase a 4 to 6 spout soda machine. They came back with that! They got it because it's refurbished, which meant it was actually cheaper than the 4 or 6 spout soda machines. It also meant that when you looked at it wrong, it spit soda on you. So I, like all my good stories start with, got sticky. Now, I have been dealing with this machine all con. We had to get here on Thursday just to yell at it and praise it so it would work. Each of the fountains had a picture on it, and there was an unwritten game going on. Whoever soda ran out first, you were the con chairman for next year. So we were all trying to keep people away from our sodas. Well, Code Red, for some reason, didn't like water. If you hit Code Red, you had about a 1 in 10 chance of just getting Code Red syrup. The way to solve this was to turn off the machine, recharge it, turn on the machine. It takes 5 seconds, it cycles through, and it fixes it. And then, a child. Notice how you're always children when you do shit like this? He walked up. He went to the Code Red. I was standing in front of the machine talking to somebody, and I watched him take his clear plastic cup, whoop, syrup. You know, oh, 1 second, son. Let me just turn off the machine, recharge it, and then you can get your drink. and he held the button down and he looked at me and only released the button to do this. And I watched him fill up this cup with Code Red syrup, take a sip, tastes like Jolly Ranchers. That kid's got bolts. Fur from your fursuits covered me like I had been tarred and feathered. Feathered? Yeah, sure. I was drinking, and I was miserable. But I was helping, so that's fine. Now that is a phrase that you will hear from all of us at some point during the convention, and don't ever take it the wrong way. I am miserable. It's just we're exhausted, we're tired. We're watching everybody have fun at this event, and we remember those few times where it's like, wow, we used to get to do that too. Damn it. But it never lasts because we know what we're doing and it helps us, but we need each other. We need each other, and that's where the story really starts. Because myself, the finance director Woody, the late great Takaza, were sitting in back of house. Sitting there, all the breakfast food, still in random piles, because I don't know how you guys eat, but it's disgusting. And as we're sitting on the counter, the radio goes off. DuckTales! This has been going on all weekend. People would yell DuckTales into the radio, and then the rest of the convention would go, woo! So now we have SJWs on the radio. This radio is not a toy. And somebody else would go, toy? Like DuckTales toys? And this is going on. And we are sitting there and we're smiling. We are laughing, we are having a good time, and now we're joining in. Woody is being a smartass on the radio, Takaza's being a smartass on the radio, and as Takaza made a particularly fun jape, I moved my arm and knocked over a bowl of instant dry oatmeal, and I spilled it all over the floor. Grabbed my radio. This is alkali, the oatmeal has been spilled. And Woody went white and stopped breathing. He's clutching his chest. His eyes went as wide as saucers as he's staring at me. I look over at Takaza, and he's doing the breathless laugh right now, holding himself, trying to say something to me. And the radio clicks in. This is security to alkali, alkali! Where has the oatmeal been spilled? Oh, it's everywhere! And Woody, finally regaining control. Oatmeal is code for money! I have just told security that Alkali, the guy who runs around doing charity events, walking around with money in his pockets far too regularly, has just spilled the money everywhere. This is security, Alkali! Everyone, radio silence! Where has the oatmeal been spilled? Sound like false alarm. I'm talking about real oatmeal. This is Conchair to Alkali. Would you report to operation? This is finance to Conchair. Don't worry, he feels bad enough already. I wasn't allowed to have a radio for 2 years. Best 2 years of my life. What's the addendum? Oh, what's the number on the addendum?
So you guys pitched in for this story $247.
Dennis, you said you had go.
It's very minor addendum, but I thought it was hilarious. So I texted you last week, and I said, something happened. It was hilarious, and it's your fault. I'll tell you a con horror stories.
Yeah. What?
So I walked into work. We've had a really bad week all week. And as soon as I walked through the door, my texts are like, we have cookies! Okay. Look, go back, there's cookies back there. And I'm walking back, and there's trays of cookies, just trays of cookies on the back counter. Like, this is fantastic, what do we have? And one of my texts, who is known for being a tad clumsy, was, well, we got, chocolate chip and all these other flavors. And she knocks one over and spills all over the floor, and she goes, and the oatmeal has been spilled. I collapsed in laughter. And she's like, what the hell? Like, I can't do it. But I know other people that will like this. It was literally split on, the oatmeal has been spilled. We have a panel in here right now.
That's okay. So that's it. Oh.
Password.
Oh, password time. Okay.
Wait, or is it pyramid? I don't know. It's one of the
I
two.
don't know. Iggy, where are you?
He might be waiting outside for this panel to leave.
Oh, could you check and see if Iggy is outside? Thank you. All right. We're going to see if he's outside. If not, all right. I don't know if he's out. If he's not outside, then we're going to tell you the one last story. But if he is, we're gonna have guys. Guys, thank you very much for being here. This has been Con Horror
Thank you so
Stories.
much.